I, 33F, was child-free and wanted to stay that way for most of my life, and all my friends are the same. My partner and I talked a lot about pros and cons of having kids, and we both agreed I wouldn't abort if I ended up pregnant, but we won't actively work on kids. However, in the last year we wanted kids more and more. First we wanted to foster. Adoption is nearly impossible in our country, but then we sorta ended up pregnant. I am due to give birth soon and my friends are being D about it. I told them off and called them cruel, and they called me a selfish a-hole. So, context: since I have been purposefully child-free most of my life, I am aware of the downsides of having kids. I personally think a lot of people are being unwise when they decide to have kids, and less population is generally better, but I never ever said it to someone's face, especially when they were expecting. One cannot know what are people's motives to have children or to not have children, and I never judged. Whether you have offsprings or not is completely irrelevant to me to see you as a person. When I got pregnant I was delighted but scared, naturally. I am an anxious person by nature, and I always talked through my things with my friends, who were always there for me. Until the topic centered around my pregnancy. For the past 7 months of pregnancy, every time I mentioned something bad relating to pregnancy, like having nausea, back pain, insomnia, my friends jokingly said, "Well, you got yourself into that shit, now suffer, haha." First it was a joke, but sometimes it gets really hard, and considering we always whine about something, one of the friends the other day literally cried because she missed a beginning of a movie in cinema, and nobody said anything to her. I don't think me whining about discomfort of carrying a baby is too much. Lately, they even upped the game, saying stuff like they won't come by our place when the baby is there. I mean, where should I put the baby? And saying stuff like, "Nice knowing you, and now you won't be able to go to concert with us, even though when the concert happens baby will be 7 months old and I have tickets and plan to go." One went so far to tell me they don't even wanna met my baby, and that's when I lost it and called them all cruel. This resulted in backlash, calling me selfish a-hole because I decided to have kids and I shouldn't be imposing the kid on them. Thing is, I am not imposing anything. The kid will simply be there, and I never ever mentioned anything about them babysitting or looking after or in any way, shape or form being included in baby's life. Just think I am going through something life-changing, whether it was my decision or not, and just don't want them to dump shit on me whenever I mention anything related to my pregnancy or baby. I don't know, they all made some bad decisions in their lives, we all did, and we all were there for each other, and this feels like I am their personal landfill because of their own issues with natalism/antinatalism. Comment 1, child-free person here, NTA, but your friends are. I hope you fully understand the friendship will change. And it's not because of your friends. Being a mum will change your routine, priorities, etc. And guess what? It's normal. Love don't need constant company, love needs love. I love my friends who are mamas. I don't see them as frequently as before, and sometimes I smile at kids' pics/videos that I would not necessarily find cute or funny. But I love them. I'm here for them, and guess what? One of these kids stole my heart and now I'm a bit auntie. Your friends might not have a change of heart, but if they truly love you they should be there for you. If not, there are loads of childless people who would love to be your friend too. Comment 2. Another child-free person here, and I agree completely. I miss my good friends who had kids and couldn't break away as easily. Meeting up takes a little more planning. Planning that I am 100% willing to do because my friend means more to me than trying to make sure that my life never crosses paths with an underage human, which is, frankly, insane. I don't love kids, I don't really know exactly how to act around them. But their kids are the exception. Because they're my friends' kids. Comment 3. You knew your friends were child-free, so you can't really expect them to change their opinions and attitudes now that you're pregnant. You're going to have to find new friends who aren't child-free and will embrace you and your little one. Some short background: I, 27F, am from the UK while my husband, 38M, is from the US. We've been doing long distance for 2 years at this point, where he comes to visit, and we were saving up for me to visit there, but it's expensive and my son has school, which if you've been on holiday in term time you know it's 1,000 times more expensive than not. I've met my in-laws over video calls but not in person until a week before my actually wedding, whereas I'd met my husband at least 10 times in them 2 years of us dating, him staying with me 2 weeks or longer each time. When I got to America and we finally met the family, it was hard because they claimed they wanted to get to know me so many times but none of them actually tried to make conversation with me, they didn't ask questions and they were all talking about things I had no idea on as it was sports or something I couldn't even try to engage in, like reliving memories I couldn't really comment on other than, that sounds awesome or that's great, but they kept claiming they so wanted to get to know me and me going outside every now and then to get a breather from awkward social situations, having severe anxiety, was them being unable to get to know me. I felt ignored and invisible. The wedding day itself went great. We got ready, got married and started partying, kind of, again same situation, no one spoke to me, the only people who actually had conversations with me were my friends and we went outside together while she had a smoke because I didn't want to be alone. Me and my husband spent most of our time together and around 8 p.m. my friend left. No one was speaking to me and my husband much at that point. 9 p.m. rolls around and I get out of my dress and start trying to pack things up, so then there wasn't much that needed to be done at the end of the night. Well, that's when SIL 48F realizes we're leaving and my husband is currently playing with my son, who is 5 years old, and his cousin too preoccupied to hear his sister scream at me asking if we're leaving, like she was in severe shock. She screamed at me 3 times until she then stormed out and threw a tantrum. My husband tried to go and calm her but that didn't work and she continued cried when I let my husband know that the Uber is here and we gotta go. I was exhausted and extremely annoyed at this point. After being screamed at and completely exhausted, I just wanted to leave, so I shouted to my husband at him leaving with or without him. I know wasn't my brightest moment but I was tired, especially with my body clock not changing either. We left and now his sister is mad. Her husband is mad and decided the wedding video he took of us. He said we can't have because I was immature for not staying a little longer. When I saw SIL was upset. I do understand her being upset, but at the same time could she not have pulled us aside and had a civil conversation with us rather than screaming at me and throwing a tantrum like a child? Comment 1. I don't understand. You can't visit your now husband in over 2 years because your now 5-year-old kid is in school? What is he missing out on when he's 3? I really don't understand why his sister was upset. And your title doesn't match the actual story. You were already leaving, you didn't leave because of the sister, you left because the reception was over. Comment 2. OP was referring to the fact that in the UK, plane fares get hiked a lot between school terms. The holiday that may cost, for example, £300 2 days before term ends, will suddenly be £500 or more, on the first day of the school break. She perhaps just couldn't afford the trip under those circumstances. Comment 3. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with this. It doesn't sound like you know him or his family that well, and you definitely sound like you have issues socializing. At your wedding, you should be a gracious host walking around the guests and talking to all of them, including those you don't know. I didn't get the impression you did that. I feel like you spent your time hanging out with your friend and that's it. If that's what happened, then you need to understand it's on you to socialize. You don't wait for your guests to come to you. You go to the guests. This is my F35 brother's wife, F29. My brother, M31, and her have been together since high school. They have been married for 9 years. They have 4 kids. A girl, 5 years old, twin boys, 4 years old, and another boy, 3 years old. She's currently pregnant with their 5th kid. She got a degree from college, but she completely ditched her career when she got pregnant with their first baby. My brother took over the family business, so I guess they're well enough financially. Ever since she had her first child, she got into this annoying mother mindset in which she literally can't talk about anything else than her kids and how much she loves motherhood. She's always giving advice to anyone who is listening, always asking dumb questions that she already knows by now, just to keep the focus on her and her kids. I have 2 kids myself, So I was always understanding and tried to help her, especially with her first child, since I already was a mom at the time. But ever since the twins, she's turning more annoying every time we meet. She can go on and on for hours about her kids, her marriage, her house, basically just bragging about how perfect her life is. She seems to believe that she's in some sort of fairy tale or something. She comes across as childish sometimes. Well, I got tired of it. She was in the middle of bragging about how easy it was for her to get pregnant again when I asked if she knew how insensitive she was sounding. She said that she just feels fortunate for her fertility. I let it go that time, but then she started talking about how much she enjoys motherhood and how she feels this was her call. She said that it's so easy and she can't imagine prioritizing a career instead of her children. Well, I snapped at that. I told her that she should stop bragging about her perfect life like that, without a care if the other women near her have fertility issues or financial problems that don't allow them to just sit at home all day looking after the kids. She got defensive and said I'm just jealous because my marriage is a failure, so I can't be happy for her. I told her that she sounded like an entitled child, along with some other things, and she started crying. Now I'm the a-hole because I can't be happy for my own nibblings and their mother. I am seriously struggling to see how I'm wrong here, that's why I am asking here. ETA should have made this more clear, but she thinks that women who prioritize a career instead of her children are bad mothers. For an example, she thinks that my marriage is failing because I work instead of staying home and focusing entirely on my children/my husband. Comment 1. NTA. She sounds annoying, as if she is accomplished for popping out children. She wasted her education and her spot should have gone to someone who wanted a career. Single parents regardless of gender work and raise children. What she is doing is not exceptional. Then to cast aspersions on your marriage. No wonder you snapped. No one likes a braggart, but a condescending one is the worst. I have noticed that my girlfriends who were stay-at-home have nothing to talk about but their children because that is their only focus. Maybe that is what is happening. Just don't hang with her. If she comes over, whip out your laptop and say you have to finish something for work, even if you just read Reddit. Grey rock her. Comment 2. YTA, because it sounds like you're saying upset things about the things that are not the problem. Tell her she's an R for her views on marriage and women. Tell her she should be a bit more self-aware about bragging and other people's feelings. But it sounds like you went off a bit too hard about the things that are not actually the problem. You made it sound like you're mad at her for being happy, and not everything you added at the end. If you didn't make it clear here, maybe you didn't say what you actually meant to her either. Comment 3. I'm with you. OP is an unreliable narrator and other stuff she said made Sil cry in front of family. To me, OP sounds angry and hostile. Divorce can do that. So what if she wants her world to revolve around her family? Women have the right to choose. Did anyone in the room have fertility problems, or did she throw that in to sound righteous? I'm surprised at all the NTA live and let live. If you don't enjoy her company, don't go or talk to her privately like an adult. You sound like a bitter teenager. YTA. Last year I was at the mall with my fiancé when I saw this awesome cashmere/wool coat. It was perfect in every way and there was only one left in my size. The best news was that it was on clearance for $100, so I bought it without a second thought. I have worn it several times last year, but it hasn't been cold enough this year for me to break out the coat. Last week when I saw the news about the upcoming cold front, I decided it was time to take it to the dry cleaners so that I can wear it this week. After tearing all my closets apart without seeing it, I asked my fiancée if she had seen it. She told me that she hadn't seen me wear it in a while, so she lent it to her brother to wear to a wedding. I was annoyed at hearing this but decided not to make a big deal, so I simply told her to tell her brother to bring it back so I could get it dry cleaned. Thursday rolls around and he hasn't brought it back, so I asked her about it again. Nothing. Come Friday, and I haven't heard anything, so I called him. He said that he told my wife on Tuesday that he got drunk at the wedding and lost my coat. I was super annoyed at this, so I told him he owes that exact coat from that exact brand. Last night my fiancée came home from work in a mood and handed me $100. She said that her brother dropped off the money and I shouldn't have made her brother pay for the coat since I knew he doesn't make very much and I haven't worn it but a handful of times. I looked at the $100 and told her I wanted a replacement coat or the amount it currently cost so that I can buy a new one and that $100 won't cover it. She said he went to the store and it cost $700 now, but she knew I only paid $100 for it, so she told him $100 would cover the cost. I argued that $100 doesn't buy me a new coat. We went back and forth but couldn't find any common ground. She offered to throw in an extra $100 of her own money and said sarcastically that I'm coming out ahead. I argued that I'm still out a coat and nothing will satisfy my loss except for a replacement coat. She argued that I don't have to have the exact coat and that I can buy a similar one with $200. She thought I was being ridiculous and called her parents on speakerphone. Of course they sided with their children and her dad tried to say that a man shouldn't be so hung up on a coat. I told him that a man replaces what he loses. So now they're all mad at me for wanting to make a profit from their son and intimating that he's not a man. Comment 1. Well, it is just a coat, but the fact that your fiancé gave your stuff away without even telling you, let alone asking, didn't tell you it was lost, made no effort to see your reasoning and then went to daddy for help, makes her a huge NTA, and you have a GF problem. Comment 2. NTA, they wanted to borrow the nice coat because it was expensive and looked good for a wedding. You got lucky, they stole your luck and you are now out a good quality coat. Fair to ask for a replacement. But phone the venue and taxis as often get hand-ins. If not, relationships are already blown, so may as well get the money. Letting them off now isn't going to mend that.